As we explore together today, sometimes in our group we kind of talk about the sense of a background and foreground, and different speakers do it different ways. They'll take of the sky and the weather, or beingness and content, and or we call it sometimes. And when I use the language of this model, I call it self as the beingness, and then parts as the thoughts, feelings, and sensations. But background and foreground, and like as Dave is speaking of just this pure beingness, this equanimity, this peace, this love, this ever-present sky. One thing that we explore here is almost finding the resonance of that, almost like a tuning fork. Like as you're describing, something calms the system here. Because what I want to suggest is what's being calmed is the foreground, are the parts, are the aspects of the personal, are being calmed by the background, by this that people call true nature, essence, isness. And one of the usefulnesses I find in our exploration is, one, getting clear on that discernment in us between the two, the background and the foreground. And then as we're together, as Dave shares more about his system, it's like a piano, like tuning fork, as he describes, well, there's peace here, and wow, and he describes the peace, and we hear the words, but we're getting to be with Dave, and there's the vibration of the peace. So I get to know that, like, this is a quality of fundamental well-being being expressed through Dave, and it's no different than ours. There's no separation here. And so we get to, it's a way of becoming intimate with fundamental well-being, with peace in ourselves. And so it gets to be all experiential in that way. We're just not listening to Dave, we're going with him. And then when he describes a spiritual achiever, like, yes, I like that. I want more of that piece. We find, well, I have an aspect of me that's just like that. And then where it becomes fascinating is discerning the contrast between this that wants more, which has a very sense of it as lack or resistance, in contrast to the background, the peace. And Dave he practices actively the headless way. And we could describe it, just in terms of your theme this week. The headless way is all about the background. It's just like when there's no head, there's only this.
Mm.
There's only this.
Yeah.
How's that, Pav? And then we can see where Dave takes
Mm.
us with all this.
And I'd love for Sid to say something because I just want to know.
So is it funny? Like, you're sharing vulnerably in your heart in the depth of this, and then you look up in the other square, and there's Sid. He's just cracking up laughing. Oh, it's just the absolute same here. It's the same as what, Pav, is what you just described. Love your word for the field, this openness. And then there's this habitual pull, this problem solving, this, some of the just describe it as the mind. And sometimes we get more subtle in that discernment, sometimes in this, and call it, get different flavors of the mind, call it parts. Oh, the problem solver, the one who wants relief, the child, the critic. But it's that, and I feel it right now. The tension, even the enjoyment of talking and putting these concepts together, and the joy of, like, there's a connector, the joy of connecting with Pav, and connecting, the joy of that, to connect through words and through, it's almost like the emotion, like when we connect, like right now, as I connect with you, Pav and David, it's like there's something, there's an experience, there's a state that comes with that, there's a yumminess, and oh, there's connection, there's moving into this whatever that connection is. But then it's interesting, like I use lowercase and uppercase letters. Like there's lowercase connection, which is the kind of the connection through experience that's happening right now. And then there's the uppercase connection, which is more this background, this field that you speak of there's that. And it's been happening a little different than the way you've been describing it, Dave, or there's been a choice here that I have a new favorite word, which is kind of radiant presence. And it's been helpful for me here because it's like almost like instead of going to the emptiness and the openness of it where it all is this field and the spaciousness, it's been doing it, that's been helping it be kind of more embodied here in knowing it's almost just staying with the body and staying with even a sense of location, which is it's a very interesting word for me in this game as David describes the sense of the I just kind of dissolves or there's no sense of I, and it's just this, it's like instead I've been playing with like deeply knowing Sid, going more deeply into the experience. And they say form and formlessness is the same. It's like the form, going more deeply into the form, but knowing the form more as what's this form made of? And people call it like beingness, aliveness, isness. And I've been enjoying the radiant presence word. And then it seems to take it to a similar place that Dave's describing of the inside and the out become kind of the same, but it allows, it's like every, what is not this radiant presence? Not, oh, I'm special, I'm radiant presence. It's that's silliness. It's just like the radiant presence of this is the same that everything is, but it allows, it seems to help with more of the both and of the full aliveness of experience in time and the gift of the timelessness of being. How's that, Pav?
Wow, I really rambled on. Go, Sid.
Go, Sid! Go! Go! the so you point to the divinity and the humanity. Right? For me, it's another way of speaking of the background and the foreground. And then and then the and then just the as that discernment becomes clearer and clearer, just like Pav was talking about, the content, the smallerness in the context, and that it seems to be so many of our practices are helping us with that discernment so that the system like gets to know this background, this divinity, this headless way, this causeless okayness, this peace that we are, this Atman, this isness, this love, this beingness, this self. And then from there, like Todd was talking about, the something gets calmed, something gets calmed, and that seems to be where a lot of the healing occurs as we're more and more familiar with this, that which arises, be calmed, be welcomed, and even finds a home here, just like for us, whatever a coming home has been. It's like these aspects of us, these wants, these preferences, these resistances. And I think it even goes a little deeper than that. These wants, these lacks, these resistances, this that has us go out in the world seeking anything, seeking any kind of fulfillment. As those aspects of us get to know this background, this piece that's here, it's like the thirst of these parts, the thirst of us, whatever the want, the longing is, it starts to become satiated, satiated literally by this fountain of self. Whatever the want is, whatever the I need, lack, whatever it is, as it becomes more intimate with this background, it's literally like eating from a buffet. It becomes satiated, full, complete, satisfied. And then we start finding there's an absence of lack here. And when there's an absence of lack, then we just are this fulfillment, this okayness. And that seems to be one way to what Dave was pointing to, that his system shifts to. Or sometimes it just sees through everything. It just either it's a stepping back, like the Dave often uses the word stepping back to this beingness, or sometimes it just sees through the content, the form, the what is it, my relevance, my importance. It almost all becomes transparent to the beingness, and then we are the inside and out is all the same. So it's like I'm fascinated by the different ways it opens in us, and we get the glimpses. And then we're in that glimpse of everything is this love, this fulfillment, and then suddenly like something comes up again, like Pav was describing what was coming up before she came on the call. And it's just a precious aspect of our humanity that says whatever it says. I'm not feeling so good, or haven't been a good student of the 45 days. And it's just the most innocent, sweetest thing, those voices that come up. And then it becomes so interesting to notice how much we use this word blending here, how much we blend or identify with that. And even the sweetness of that, like look how that happens. How about that, Dave? I'd like to say something with this. I have a part that gets so excited about like the discovery, the making sense of, the what is this, the speaking, the 5 minutes of speaking that I did. And it's just an interpretation. It's just like Dave was saying, it's like this particular history, or the books that have been read, or the maps that have been used to make sense of this, to speak of it. And then they're just words. They're just words, attempting to be pointers. But what it's pointing to, it's what's so funny, right? It's like the fish looking for water, or speaking of water, that they're all in, and it's like what it's pointing to is what we all are. And that's what's so funny. And it's like there's nothing more substantive or better in one of our words describing, because we're all describing this. We're all describing water. Let's say we're all describing water. And it's like we're all pointing to the same thing, and we just have different words to speak of this water. That you could say we're all in, but I don't know how that analogy is making it, but it's still, it's just the innocence of it, like the innocence of how we all speak of it, and the parts of us that speak of it, that get excited about understanding, like, hey, I'm understanding this better, yay. It's like there's just such innocence in that. And then even innocence in parts that might be like, wow, I want to be appreciated because I am understanding something. It's like that. It's just the sweet innocence of that. And also the sweet innocence that points to that there's the lack that's in the system, in my system, anytime I'm wanting. I love I have this woman that's been really helpful to me, is a woman named Byron Katie, and she has this quote, like, if I had one prayer, it would be, God, spare me from the desire for love, approval, or appreciation. Amen. But it's like in IFS, we take it a little differently. It's almost a celebration of the longing for love, approval, or appreciation, because there's such a sweetness that's there beneath it. Like, why are we wanting appreciation? And I'm saying this is just kind of disclosing what's happening here in Sid's system, right? Because I can find something that wants appreciation, which is just what we call the kind of the exiles, or something that it's not healed, or that's carrying some kind of shame or lack in the system, and it can find relief through, oh, I am okay. Look, I ran a race and I won. I did well in the race, or I'm speaking things, or I made a video that people watch. Um, the sweetness of that, the innocence of, like, that's not something that needs to be changed or fixed. The want, the lack that's here, that gets to be included here as well. That which had Pav not sure she wanted to come on today. It's like that. It gets to be fully included. The aspect of Sid that loves, as Dave knows, he loves. I don't. There's a love speaking, because it's like the clarity, the ahas that come. It is like the discovery, but it's like just the innocence of it all, the innocence of the lack, the innocence of the want. Even like we know some people that just like, I'm important, I'm special, I'm more special, especially in the POK community. We'll find like, I am, but most of them don't have that. But some of them email, I'm location 15, I've got this. And there might be a sense of wanting to be appreciated for that. But even that is exquisite and beautiful. It's just this aliveness coming, and it's a little bit of confusion, right? In thinking about this fulfillment and okayness is going to be found through experience out there instead of what's here. But as I say that, that's what plays here. It still all plays in Sid, and I just know it so well. How about them apples?
That was great. What do you
Yeah, the
think,
magnetic
Bob?
pull. It was almost like the pull of the parts, the pull of something that was like attracting and seducing, and versus the resting in the field. Forget how you said it, but it was like the sense of resting as this causeless okayness, or wow, that was what Pav brought up. We can play with this, and it's like in IFS terms, it's like a part of an aspect of us that's like wants to play with it, or connect, or be creative, or dance. It's like it's yumminess. It's like get to dance with Pav with all of this. So I noticed that. I noticed that play here. And then it's almost like here, it's like how to move with that without leaving, as Dave calls it, the humanity and the divinity. Where it's almost like sometimes I even think about it like, yeah, like that, or the beingness without leaving it for not leaving it. Because what I heard, Pav, where when we talk about the foreground, were these just precious aspects of life that were there. Like this, you started off with there's self-judgment coming up. And in our exploration, our work, there's a sense that there, if we think of it as a part, there are no bad parts. Everything that's coming up is doing its best to serve Pav, to serve life, to serve goodness, to protect, to care. And so there's this self-judgment that we heard. And we also heard you talking about the core presentation you went to, where there's a man who's been a finder for a while, and then he's finding now that nothing can help. Nothing, none of the methods, of many methods he knows, is helping. And I'm curious, like, what that part is, what that aspect of Pav is. It's an understanding one, or maybe it's a little skeptical one, like maybe this all isn't going to work, or maybe it's a curiosity that comes up that brought that up. And it's like, and then we heard this sense of why am I not resonating with Richard Lang? It's like, it's so strange. And then we were hearing, oh, maybe it's because it feels like homework or school. And it's like, I don't like that. I don't want to do that. Um, and then we heard another kind of, maybe it's an understanding part talking about the outside and the inside. And it's easier to be outside than to go inside. And so in this game, sometimes in welcoming all of that, we almost like play with, can I see it all? Can I see like almost like it's a galaxy and they're like planets? Can I see these different aspects of me, these voices, or where do I hear them? And then there's a sense of, can I see the innocence of it? Can I see the innocence in this voice? Can I see the innocence in this self-judgment? That's, wow, it has, maybe it has an idea, oh, I can keep you safe by judging you. It's like, we can see, if we can hear what the longing is of these aspects of this one that's talking about the core presenter, like what's the longing there? What's really wanted? Is like, I want to know a way that's really going to work, and I don't want to be just like tricked. And it's like, hey, I'm a finder now, and then suddenly I'm like, whoa, I'm lost in space again, or it's like, what's the longing? And as we hear the longing of these aspects of us, we hear the innocence of the longing, the sweetness of the longings. And then, is it a problem? Are these longings a problem? And this is another big piece. It's like the one that's judging Bob, the one that's like, why don't I like Richard Lang? The one that's like confused by or has these thoughts about the core presenter, the one that's like, oh wow, I much prefer looking out than looking in. Looking in, this is hard. I don't like doing that so much. It's like, is there a problem that these are here, that life is expressing this way in us? Because this is another way, talking about windows, it's a lovely window, the sense of really being okay, it's just being okay with all these ways it's showing up, and then, wow, I'm okay with everything, there's just okayness. um hmm. All right, that was my, I don't know what we call it, that was my riff. How's that, guys? What's coming up?
Thank you.
Mm.
That's all.
It's just really, I was so enjoying what Dave was sharing about the, like, beyond a welcoming and including into this intimacy with this celebrating of the humanity and we use the word humanity, but the lack, the want, the desire for change. I want to feel better. I want to be happier. I want to be more content. I want to be more peaceful. And even the word celebrate, like I guess what I'm playing with here is what is the nature of this background, this self, this beingness that we keep playing with, that we use the word pav, openness, for it. And like, as we really feel into it, we really feel into this background, to this openness, it's like, I don't find any kind of resistance there. There's just this openness, this welcoming. And as we feel into it deeper, like, can we touch that word Dave says, celebration? It's almost like this, like, some people say awareness of awareness, or celebration of the date, when Dave said celebration of celebration, like that really got me. It's almost like it's just a celebration of itself as we really feel into this beingness. And there's a knowing of this beingness. I mean, what's knowing the beingness? But like beingness, knowing the beingness is awareness of where is this. And it's like, it's that edge that's being explored here. And it's so fun just to be able to kind of be more of a participant today, and just be it. And then it becomes even the lack itself, even the foreground, even the parts, even the critic, the resistance, the preference. When Dave says, just welcoming that, it's like, how deeply can we go into that? Like, what are those made of? Are they really separate from the background, from the beingness? And so I think that's what's being kind of explored and enjoyed as we hang out today. Just to sit with discomfort and not find it to be a problem or want to change it or get away from it. Kind of telling a joke, Pav. That seems to be the heart of suffering, is just what you're choosing not to do in moving away from. It's it's a big deal. Big homework assignment you got there.
But as I said that, Sid, I had this idea, I had this thought, or maybe within the spiritual community, this is a quick bypass. You know, there's a way I don't have to do the sit with the discomfort. Maybe there's a way that it just goes. That just, you know, I have it. Maybe there's something that will just resolve it. So as I was saying that, I was hoping that, you know, one of both of you would say, "Oh no, you don't have to do that anymore." Within the POK community, we have ways and means.
Oh.
Oh, that's
Hey,
I think
and let
that's
me.
just brought it all back home, hasn't it? That's
Yes,
completed the circle for me.
yes, and I want to say that's okay. The parts of us that are like, "Ah, gosh, this discomfort. I've been sitting with it for so long. I really just want to break from it." And we all know ways of getting there. We all know ways of doing it. Like we could do it spiritual ways, or we can like I can grab a pizza and Netflix. But it's like I just want to say this again, Sid speaking again. It's like I just want to welcome those parts. Just to the Dave sense of celebrating the parts, the part of you that's like, God, am I really going to have to sit with the discomfort? Why won't Dave give me some headless way shortcut that'll just get me there? And it's like, yes, it's just the sweetest thing, the part that wants that. Um, what a treat. What a treat getting that. When you came in, Pop, Dave and I were saying how cool this was. We get to just be together and hang out. And it's like, and it was like so cool that Dave and I were doing it, and then you showed up, and it become like so much better. Wow! So thank you everybody, Dave and Bob.